Hi everybody, Heather from New Zealand here. Wow, what amazing times we are living through. Unbelievable. So what I wanted to do today is just get this video up and going and just checking my screen's doing what it should be doing. Yeah, up and going, because many of us are in a situation where schools are closing. I don't know where in the world you're watching this, but here in New Zealand we've just been given 48 hours notice that our schools will be closing. Obviously in the UK you're obviously a bit ahead of us, and parts of the US and the rest of the world. So what I wanted to do is to talk about how can we do this, how can we make this work. I mean, most of us were never planning to educate our kids at home, and here we are in a situation where we need to. Now, what I want to say is, first of all, what authority do I have to be talking about this? So I have homeschooled two of my children. I have a son who I homeschooled when he was quite young. He's now working as a software engineer with a master's degree in engineering. I have another daughter who I homeschooled her when she was a bit older, and she has just graduated with a Bachelor of Performing Arts. So yeah, I've educated my children at home, so I kind of have worked some of these things out for myself, what works and what doesn't work. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm now in a situation where we have a 12, nearly 13-year-old daughter. We've actually pulled her out of school a couple of days ago, but she is now learning from home, obviously working with the school. So what I wanted to do today is share with you what's worked, what simple habits that you can put into place, structures you can put into place to take the stress out of your experience of having the children at home doing their schoolwork, and also for the children. So that's what this video is all about. Now, first thing I want to say is, please don't feel that you've got your children at home that you kind of need to recreate a school environment. You don't. In fact, you can't. So don't try. If you do try, you're going to get stressed doing it, and also you're going to find that the kids get stressed and it's going to turn into a negative experience. Instead, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. This is very doable. One thing you need to realize is, in the school day, there is a lot of time from that, say, 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock window that the children are at school where they're not actually working. You know, there's playtime, there's lunchtime, those are the obvious ones. There's a lot of time taken up with organizing the class, logistics. All of those things are gone. So please don't feel that you need to school your children from 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock. That's going to be too much for you and too much for them. So what I have done in the past, and has worked pretty solidly for me, is I have said, okay, probably about half the day, we could get rid of half the day, and let's start a little routine with the kids. Sit down and talk to them about it and say, okay, we're going to first of all, we're going to have a start time. Okay, so our start time, up to you what you choose. We chose 9 o'clock in the morning, so that gives us heaps of time to get up, to get ready, to do the dishes, have a nice healthy breakfast, those kinds of things, and excuse me, and get set up before we even start schooling. Now remember, already you've cut out all of that computing time, haven't you? So you've got some spare time up your sleeve already. So agree a start time with your kids. Say, okay, we're all going to sit around the dining table at 9 o'clock. And set a good example. You know, let them see you getting up and ready. Don't be tempted to do the school work, the school part of the day in your pajamas. Don't let the kids be in your pajamas. Get up, get dressed to schools. If you followed any of my other videos on my channel, you'll see that I follow a system called the Fly Lady system, which has routines. And if you've got regular routines like those that you're following, stick to them. We all need stability and structure to keep ourselves calm and quiet. So do your normal routines in the morning. Now what we do is 9 o'clock we sit down at the dining room table and we have a little notebook, I haven't got it, it's on the other table, but anything will do. I mean, this little notebook here, which I've got my notes on for what I'm going to talk about, just something like this. And I write down on there what we're going to do for the day, so everybody's clear. So I might say, okay, we're going to start at 9. We're going to have morning tea at 10:30, we'll have a break, and then at lunch we'll aim to get all our sitting down work done. And get everybody to agree with that. Remember, there's a bit of a carrot in that for the kids. I'll go back to the carrot idea a little bit later, but let's get through. Create a routine, create times so everybody knows this isn't an endless day of schoolwork that they're going to struggle with. Write down what the kids are going to do. Now, we haven't started working with our teachers yet. You may have in the UK started that, we haven't. But obviously if your teacher has given you work to do, what I do is I write down on my list the titles. Okay, so maybe maths, we're going to do a bit of our maths program online. Maybe we've got a worksheet that we're working on or a book we're working through. We're going to do a page of that. Whatever it may be. Maybe the kids are writing a story, so it might be, okay, we're going to write some stories. Maybe you're going to put in some reading time. You might want to put in things like, my daughter plays the violin, so we're putting in violin practice as part of that. What other things do we put in? Anything else that she's got to do for that day. Write it all down in a list. 1, so you've got a record of what the child's done. And 2, so you can give the child the notebook, obviously depending on their age, and say, okay, tick these off as you go along. You choose what you'd like to do first, what you'd like to do last, and tick them off as you go along. Make it easier, make it theirs. Let them feel like they are in control of it, rather than you being a big baddie and, you know, pushing them to do things all the time. Talk also about a finish time. We have 12 o'clock for that type of thing. Obviously, if anything doesn't get done, it goes on to the next day. So, you know, you're not going to miss anything out. But also add, you know, if you get finished earlier, well, that's going to give you some extra free time. There's a bit of a carrot to try and inspire them to keep going and to actually get the work done. Now, afternoons, what we do in the afternoons are things that aren't schoolwork as such, but there's still a lot of learning going on. So for example, my daughter, which is part of a it's actually part of a school project, but it's quite a creative thing, is doing is creating a sewing project. So she's doing that in the afternoon. So it's completely different. She's not sitting down doing math sums. She's you know, working in a different way. Now, if you don't have anything to keep them occupied in the afternoons, I really suggest you don't let them go on to their tablets, because with everything that's going on, we're all going to be spending a lot more time on our screens talking to family. You know, I mean, we've all been told to stay home. I'm sure you're the same. So think of something in the afternoon that can keep them interested, can keep them you know, doing a different activity. So maybe you have a skill you could teach them. Maybe you and the kids could learn something together. Now that would be fabulous, you know, because what you would be teaching them would be actually a lot more. Let me give you an example to explain what I'm saying. Let's say you decide, okay, we'd really like to grow some lettuces. Because, you know, we don't want to have to go out to the supermarket to get fresh food in. Okay, so we're going to do plant some lettuces. But let's say you have no idea how to do that. Not a problem, because what you're going to do is you and your child sit down and you work out how to do it. Now, you don't, when you're teaching your children, I have never said this is how you do it. I ask questions. How are we going to do that? How are we going to find the information to work out how to do this? And what you're doing there is you're actually, one, the child's going to end up learning how to grow lettuces, and two, and this is more important, you're by example teaching the child how to teach themselves. Okay. Oh, and three, you're learning how to plant lettuces, and four, you're going to get the product of your work, and that's going to be eating the lettuces. So that's kind of a fun thing to do in the afternoon. Now, I've used the example of lettuces. It could be anything. You could decide on a book that you all want to take turns reading aloud. You could, I don't know, take up a new craft. You could, you could do some cooking. You know, I mean, we're all going to have to be doing a lot more home baking and cooking of our own meals, because we don't want to be running out and getting our meals all the time. You know, maybe you can together decide, okay, we want to cook our favorite Indian curry for dinner. How do we do that? What do we need to do that? Maybe you've got cookbooks. Maybe you're looking on YouTube videos. You know, make those afternoons interactive and fun, and don't put any stress on yourself or your kids. You know, we have a lot of extra stress with the situation with the coronavirus going on, and we don't want to add more stress to us. That was a very blurbed some of my ideas around homeschooling. I've got a whole lot more in my head. It's just getting it all out all at once that can be tricky. So please ask questions in the comments below, I will do another video to answer those questions, because we're all going to be looking for ways of how we can work with our kids. And I think there is a hidden treasure in here, a real hidden treasure, that we're all going to get more time with our kids. And if we handle it well, we may look back in 5, 10, 20 years and just see this time as precious moments that we have with our children. So let's all do our best, and remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. None of us are going to get this perfect, but let's share some ideas. Please fire things in the comments with ideas that we can take on board to help each other and to help ourselves. Now, I've made some notes. I think I've covered everything. I don't want to make this too long. No, I think I'm about done. So please let me know where you're watching from. Put something in the comments, and I would love to hear your questions, and because we're all on this journey together. I'm homeschooling my daughter as well, so things are going to come up as we go along, and let's beat this virus and have some wonderful time with our kids on the way. Okay, I'll say bye from New Zealand for now, and happy homeschooling.